Hi everyone, it is still Friday, and in an earlier video this morning, I did my tasks and tips for you, and I want to continue with the tips in a way, and this will be really short. It's only going to be a couple of minutes, and what I want to do is clarify something I've said probably 6 or 7 or 8 times so far. And I want to take a second, kind of a quiet second, to explain what I mean. I've said a lot of times, 2 or 3 times a class session, that I want our class to be not like a traditional lecture class, on the one hand, but rather like an acting class. And I wanted to, I know I kind of squeezed that in, and maybe I don't fully explain what I'm talking about. And there's a couple of reasons why I kind of don't elaborate in class, but I do realize that maybe that's a little bit confusing. So I want to take a few minutes here and say what I mean. Okay, first of all, you'll notice that I always begin with the negative, and that's perhaps not the best idea, but in this case, I think it's important that, see, what I'm trying to say here is that in our writing class, the thing that doesn't work and the thing that is destructive, really, is if the students are passive, the teacher comes in and lectures, and not just that there's not so much interaction between either me and you or amongst yourselves, but there's not really quality energy that's going on. Okay, another way of sort of saying the negative part of this is that this is not a memorization class, and I know that there's a sort of convention or conventional format where the students kind of walk in and they take some notes and they go and they kind of sort out their notes and sort out the meaning of the class and the meaning what the teacher's trying to get at in preparation for a test. Okay, that's not the model. That's not the cognitive model. That's not the format of this class. Okay, once again, this is why I say it's more like an acting class where everyone comes in with their lines more or less prepared, or the scene prepared, or whatever they're doing, and then they try it out for the teacher and the class, and then everyone discusses what happens, okay, in a very honest and frank way. And the whole idea here is that the classroom sessions are not only creative, but they're like rehearsals, okay? And in order to get the final product, and that is the play, right, you've got to rehearse, and you've got to be willing to make mistakes, and you've got to like flub up and start again. And that's pretty much the way I want our class sessions to be. And the example so far has been when we've been narrowing, or when we've been building the structure of a paragraph or essay, or when we've been looking for examples or looking for topics. I mean, we're just getting started in all this, and so the real vitality and the interest of what I'm talking about, isn't so clear yet, but it will be and will come. So this is, once again, this is why it's really important when I give when I make one of my requests, please practice narrowing for an hour. And you notice, I've not given that length of an assignment so far. I've always, said do whatever in 10 or 15 minutes, okay? Because I didn't want people to get kind of imprisoned or sucked in to mechanical learning. Okay, now this time I want you to spend roughly an hour on the process of narrowing. And so the idea is so you can do it automatically, so you can do it easily, and it doesn't have to. One of the things I've not really said in class, but I will, is it doesn't have to be perfect, and it has to come from you. See, there's a kind of reversal that has to happen in our class. That the traditional model, or the tendency is for students to kind of sit perched, waiting to hear the words of wisdom from the teacher. Now, okay, obviously I have a few words of wisdom, and obviously, I have my own approach, but this is nothing that you have to memorize, okay? And you're not going to be tested on what does the teacher think of. The only thing you're tested on is your ability to write these papers, okay? And for that reason, in our class, like I can just give a really simple example, when I say, when we're working on the summer before here, the topic is the summer before you come to college, and we're looking for a place, okay? We're looking to designate a place. It's really important for each student, as I'm asking the question and as I'm, launching the discussion, to think, oh, I want the place to be. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, any particular place. There's no best place. That's what you want to do is think of where you would place the essay if you were writing it, and then be able to make that suggestion. And then if I say, well, why did you choose that place? You have an answer. Now, I know very, very well that it takes roughly a month to kind of stabilize this process, because by and large, students are not used to this kind of electricity in the class. They're not used to having to think on your feet. And that's why I'm saying this is really a lot like an acting class where you have to stand up. You don't have to stand up, but, where, you're going to have to say what's on your mind, and you have to be able to kind of explain about it. And one of the things that's very interesting for me, and I'll stop here, as a teacher, is I see this every semester, that at first, at least half the class, sometimes 80 and 90% of the class, have a lot of trouble with this, for a whole lot of reasons. Okay? But by about the 6th or 7th week of the class, roughly 100% of the people can do it. I mean, the people, everyone can do it. I hear this. Well, and let me sort of repeat one more thing that's kind of relevant here. I know that English is not everyone's favorite subject, and I know that very often along the way, English has not been, like your favorite class. And the thing that I think is really important for everyone in the class to think about right now is what I've been saying, that that everyone in the class can do this kind of writing. This kind of writing is not so very difficult. You can all do it. You can all be very good at it. You just have to be a little bit patient with yourselves and work with me and let me reach out to you and help you excel at this, because basically everyone can excel at this writing. I mean, I have no doubt of that whatsoever. I see it, as I've been saying, semester in and semester out. People, especially in the later part, the harder parts of the class, when people think, oh God, I've got to write this long-term paper, what torture, what drudgery. You'll all see that the term papers that you write in this class are really good. You'll be proud of them, and you can go on to write similar papers in your other class. Okay, once again, this is sort of like video number 2. This is the sequel. Have a great weekend, and if if you lose power or something like that, don't worry about it. Just contact me, and I'll see you on Monday. Take care, everyone. Be safe.